Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless Tuesday, October 1 recap. Claire sees Kyle's conniving side. Amy Lewis text puzzles Nate. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers recap for Tuesday, October 1, reveals that Victor Newman, Eric Braden, will call Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinel, out for going behind his back on the buyout offer to Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson. Although Victor will warn against doing something like that again, he won't be too hard on Victoria. That said, Victor won't be happy to hear that Victoria went to Cole Howard, J. Eddie Peck, for advice. Victoria will insist she makes her own decisions, but Victor will still feel like Cole should have talked her out of defying him. Next on Tuesday's I&R episode, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, will want to talk to Billy, who won't be interested in another lecture. Billy will defend the shakeups at Abbott Chancellor lately and will mention that Victor is coming after him. Jack will have concerns about Victoria getting caught in the middle and will push Billy to make his relationship with his children a priority. Considering everything that's happened with Kyle Abbott, Michael Miller, Jack will know the pain of having a child turn against you. Billy will ultimately summon Victoria to Crimson Lights, where they'll talk about needing to be honest with Johnny Abbott, Paxton Mishkind, and Katie Abbott, Sienna Mercury, about the feud between their father and Victor. At the GCAC, Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, will brag to Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, about her upcoming meeting with Bob Elton, the CEO of a major department store chain. Although Bob has been working directly with Kyle, Audra will plan to win him over and get him to work with her exclusively instead. It won't be long until Kyle appears and gloats about how he already met with Bob this morning. Plus, Kyle will point out that he canceled Audra's order to a supplier, meaning she'll have to make a new product line pitch empty-handed when she goes to Victor. Audra and Kyle will have a showdown, while Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, enters and watches nearby. Nate will eventually join Claire at the bar, where she'll admit she hasn't really seen this side of Kyle before. Claire will be a little uncomfortable over it, but she'll know how corporate stuff works and will acknowledge that she's done her fair share of scheming. Once Claire and Nate walk over, Kyle will finally realize Claire's been watching. Audra will push Kyle's buttons by acting like Claire seems unsettled now that she's peeling the layers back. However, Claire will speak with Kyle privately and point out that she's seen how loving he is with Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell. Claire was also raised by Jordan, Colleen Zank, who was one of the most ruthless people around. In other words, Claire won't be scared off by Kyle's behavior and will touch his hand as they share a close moment. Kyle will appreciate Claire's understanding and will basically invite her to tell him if he takes things too far. Back with Nate, he'll seem concerned about Audra stooping to Kyle's level and becoming someone she's not. Audra will insist this is who she is and will warn Nate to go if he doesn't like it. Nate will assure Audra that he supports her, so they'll quickly patch things up. Audra will get an idea about someone who could help her, so she'll dash off in a hurry. Afterward, Audra will corner Kyle again to reveal that she just made a phone pitch to Bob involving her new product line. Kyle will fume as Audra updates him on Bob loving it and offering whatever she needs to fast-track it. Audra will feel certain that Victor is going to be impressed, but Kyle will contend that he's not afraid to get down in the dirt. That'll lead to Audra's prediction that she's going to bury Kyle, so their conflict will continue. Over with Nate again, he'll get a text from Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, about needing to see him regarding an urgent family matter. A puzzled Nate will text back to ask if he knows her, but Amy will simply insist it'll be clear once they meet. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Nate will get some shocking news from Amy later in October, so don't miss what's in store. The episode opens with a burst of energy at the Abbott mansion, as Jack and Diane sit down to a quiet breakfast. Jack, ever the family man, tries to share his enthusiasm about recent developments at Jabba, but his words are lost on Diane, who seems preoccupied. She fiddles with her coffee cup, occasionally glancing toward the door. It's clear that her mind is elsewhere, a fact that doesn't escape Jack. Diane, is something bothering you? Jack asks, his voice filled with concern. Diane hesitates, then offers a forced smile. I'm just worried about Kyle. Things have been tense since he and Summer split. I'm not sure he's handling it as well as he claims. Jack nods, but his expression darkens slightly. Kyle's always been determined, but I'm sure he'll find his way. Meanwhile, at Society, Claire is seated at a corner table, sipping her tea. The once bright-eyed and optimistic young woman now wears a wary expression. She's meeting with Kyle, though her eagerness for the encounter has faded after several unsettling conversations about his aggressive tactics at Marchetti. As much as Claire wants to see the best in Kyle, recent events have made her doubt his motives. Kyle walks in, exuding his usual confidence. He smiles at Claire, though there's an intensity behind his eyes that immediately puts her on edge. "Claire," Kyle greets her warmly, sitting across from her. "Thanks for meeting me." Claire offers a tight-lipped smile, unsure of where this conversation is headed. "Of course, Kyle. I wanted to hear what you had to say." Kyle leans in, his tone softening. "I've been thinking a lot about Marchetti and your role there. I believe you have a lot of potential, Claire. More than anyone else seems to realize." There's a subtle pause as Claire searches his face for sincerity. "I appreciate that, Kyle. But I can't shake the feeling that you're trying to push things too far. Marchetti is a legacy brand, and I'm not sure the direction you're going in is right." Kyle's jaw tightens slightly, though he keeps his smile. "Claire, this is business. You have to make bold moves if you want to succeed. You can't let sentimentality get in the way of progress." Claire's eyes narrow. She'd heard whispers about Kyle's ruthless side, but this was the first time she'd seen it so clearly. But what about the people who get hurt in the process? The relationships that are being destroyed? Kyle sighs, leaning back in his chair. "Look, I get that you're close to Summer, but she's moved on. So should you. This is about building a future, one that you could be a part of if you play your cards right." Claire's heart races as she realizes what Kyle is implying. He wasn't just interested in her professionally, this was personal, but it wasn't the kind of personal connection she wanted. It felt manipulative, calculated, like he was trying to pull her into his orbit for reasons she couldn't fully trust. "I think I need some time to think about all of this," Claire says, standing abruptly. "Thanks for your offer, Kyle, but I need to figure out what's right for me." Kyle watches her go, his expression unreadable, but as soon as Claire leaves the restaurant, the mask of charm drops. His jaw clenches as he pulls out his phone, sending a quick text to a contact at Marchetti. "Make sure Claire stays in line. I won't let her sabotage this." At Newman Media, the tension is equally palpable as Nate sits in his office, staring at his phone. A cryptic text message from Amy Lewis, a rising star at the company, had arrived earlier that morning, and it was throwing him off his game. "Nate, there's something I need to tell you. It's important, but I can't say it here. Let's meet soon." He furrows his brow, trying to piece together what could be so urgent. Emmy had been a reliable employee, but recently she'd been acting strangely, nervous, jumpy. Was she hiding something? And if so, why did she choose to confide in him? Victoria enters the office, breaking his train of thought. "Nate, you've been quiet all morning. What's going on?" Nate hesitates, then shows her the text. "I just got this from Amy. I'm not sure what to make of it." Victoria reads the message and frowns. "That's odd. Do you think she's in some kind of trouble?" Nate shrugs. "I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about it." Victoria, ever the pragmatist, offers a solution. "Well, you won't figure it out by sitting here speculating. Meet with her, find out what's going on. If there's something we need to address at the company, we'll deal with it." Nate nods, though there's a knot of apprehension tightening in his stomach. He had a good rapport with Amy, but there was something unsettling about the way she'd reached out. Was she involved in something shady, or was it just office politics getting out of hand? At Chancellor Park, Amy is pacing nervously by the fountain, waiting for Nate to arrive. Her mind races with thoughts of everything that had transpired over the last few weeks. She'd stumbled upon something that could shake up the entire company, but she wasn't sure how to handle it. When Nate finally appears, Amy's relief is palpable, but the anxiety doesn't leave her face. "Nate, thank you for coming." "What's going on, Amy?" Nate asks, his voice steady but concerned. Amy glances around to make sure no one's nearby before speaking in a hushed tone. "I found something I wasn't supposed to see. It involves the CEO search. There's a lot of money moving around, and some of it doesn't make sense. If it comes out, it could ruin everything." Nate stiffens. Are you saying someone's involved in illegal activity? Emmy shakes her head. I don't know yet, but it's big, and I'm scared, Nate. I don't know who to trust. Nate takes a deep breath, realizing the gravity of the situation. Emmy, whatever this is, we'll handle it. But you have to be careful. If this is as serious as you say, we can't make any moves until we're sure. Emmy nods, though the fear in her eyes remains. I just hope we're not too late. Back at Society, Claire stands outside, her mind racing after her meeting with Kyle. She now understood just how far Kyle was willing to go to get what he wanted. The charm, the charisma, it was all a front. Behind it was someone willing to manipulate anyone who stood in his way. As the sun sets over Genoa City, the tangled web of deceit and ambition grows tighter, and it's clear that the fallout is only just beginning.